Welcome to the Business of You podcast. We are here with Juno Parlange, who is going to be sharing some amazing wisdom and tips on how we can improve our relationship fitness when it comes to breaking up. Yes, those two words, break up. Sometimes it's not so fun, but Juno has an amazing story that he's going to be sharing with us today, as well as offering us some of his own tools and wisdom to help us elevate our practice and knowledge in this arena. So Juno Parlange is with us, everyone. He is the founder of Avalon Well Being Academy, home base down in Vancouver, and he is joining us right now. Hello, Juno.
Hi, Sean. This is great. So excited to be here.
Me as well. So today we're getting down into relationship fitness. So what does that word for you mean, relationship fitness, given some of your incredible experiences when it comes to, your level of consciousness around breaking up and being in a relationship? What have you discovered for yourself so far on your journey?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the fitness word with the relationship part is interesting because it is a muscle. Like at the end, we just need to exercise that muscle and go on, like the gym, you go on do reps and then you see results, or you don't, and then you adjust. And relationship is a very important topic for me because we all are all the time in relationship. It doesn't have to be a romantic, like, relationship with the family, friends. Everything is a mini relationship, and that's what we do all the time. But it seems like there's sometimes, same as the gym, a lack of commitment, right? To go and learn more, or do the reps, or do
Right.
the necessary things to improve them.
Right, 100%. And I think to speak to that, like we go in breakups in different ways, whether that be like in friendships or in relationships. I know that you have an amazing story that you're here with us today to share about your own personal journey in relationship, in an intimate relationship, and disconnecting and letting go in a holistic, conscious manner. Um, I want to know what the difference for you has been in learning that conscious way of letting go and breaking up versus the conventional ways that most of us have experienced.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start first with the past, which is 10 years ago. I've been looking at because it's a new decade, looking at what I did before, and especially with relationship. I was a completely different person, and that's what I will call the unconscious way, because this is something that I was just going by, doing what I've been, let's say, taught, but also what I saw and when it was the normal thing to do, right? Which
Right.
is going, you break up with someone, it's kind of like, the awkward handshake, or high five, or if not even, right? Sometimes it's just
That weird
like
hug.
yeah, like, just go, yeah, like, okay, well, see you never. But yeah, that was a very interesting part of my life, because it's something that no one guide me through, like the path of, like, oh, if actually you can end up a relationship in a really nice way, or how would it, even if just the question, how would that
How do you
look
do
like?
that? How do you do that? Yeah.
So so looking back at what I did before and now, uh, starting my personal development journey, and just trying to actually live a better life. And at some point I got I would say, like a digital mentor, just following
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
that one of the first things he said is, if you want to change your life, you have to change yourself first, which
Yes.
is something you also teach, which is incredible. So it just stuck in my mind, and it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna try this for a year and see what happens.
Right.
Obviously, 10 years after, I'm always, improving and learning, because it life change already. And once you see results like the gym, you want to just keep going, right? It depends on you
Totally.
if you go faster or slower, but at least you gain momentum. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I really wanted to improve in my life, it's the way I have romantic relationships, but also the way I end the relationship, because at the end, it's just I mean, we spend time with someone and we share so many good things. And for me, it was still this is strange because it's human, that's reality. But how you get very close with someone and suddenly it's a stranger. It's still, I mean, again, that's nature, right? We
Yes.
can do anything, but still we go from like boom to nothing.
Right.
So start trying to get a couple of approaches with my previous relationships. I didn't succeed, but I did try to kind of like massage it or just create a form so where we can share at least what was kind of like the feedback of each of us, but still it didn't have like a really, let's say, like tangible result. It was more like a little bit of like the goodbye and thank you and yeah, okay, good, we're in good
Yeah.
terms, but didn't go that far.
Right.
So on my last relationship, I decided to go a little bit further, and I was thinking, because I knew the coming was coming, she also knew it too, and we start having conversations around it. And at some point, it's like, okay, well, I initiated the process, and I told her, this is not serving me anymore. And she's like, yeah, I know, I have noticed in you. So we got into like a conversation. We were like, okay, we are breaking up right now. Nothing,
Right.
nothing was really happening, but
Right.
that's another story. The actual what
The
happened.
inertia of not actually taking those next steps, or walking on eggshells on how to do it, with love, respect, and honor. Yeah.
So yeah, so we were talking about that, and finally, when we decided, okay, we're splitting up, but we are going to do it in a way that it's going to close the relationship, but also leave us, and with a sense of gratitude for each other, leave us, let's say on a high note.
Yeah.
And this is something that I love from Tony Robbins, because one of his seminars, he says, just for a moment, imagine how will it be if you actually end the relationship with the same intensity as you started, or the same energy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, there must be a better way to do this. And sorry, in the background, my dog is wanting to tell me
That's
something.
okay. I'm actually gonna flick a light on because I totally forgot, and maybe that'll
Let me
be
just grab, because otherwise it's gonna. Sorry, the thing is, like, I know it's gonna go into like the barking mode, and we are in the
No,
middle
that's
of
fine. It's
it.
okay.
Sorry.
That happens.
So yeah, so I started just researching, and I asked a couple of really good friends that they are like teachers into like love, relationships, couples, etc. And they told me I heard about this uncoupling ceremony concept, conscious uncoupling ceremony concept, and they're like, oh no, yeah, you can do this or that. I start researching even more online, people, like I put all together, and I told my ex, it's like, let's make a conscious uncoupling ceremony. And then
Cool.
she completely say, yes, let's do that.
Amazing. And
So
so you found from your experience of doing this uncoupling, that for both of you, for you and your ex, having done that, the difference between a conventional breakup, which never ever feels good, to the one that you've actually just gone through, what have you felt are some of the biggest radical changes for both of you?
yeah, no, that's a great question. Definitely it's the day and the night. It's really difficult because just to give you like a quick thing of the conscious uncoupling ceremony, is that there's like the first part is gratitude. We did that. There's the orders can be changed. Sorry, the orders can change. But the first part was speaking about what it was unspoken, because there's some stuff that we were withholding and we didn't say it last year, and it was building up, and at some point
Right.
there's no exit to those things. So
Right.
we pretty much, all the garbage was dumped first, and
Yeah.
then we say everything that we're grateful for the other person, and then at the end we set up the intention as our new friendship. So it's pretty much like a new agreement, kind of like a new friendship vows,
Right.
promises to each other. But
Yes.
this was over 6 hours, right? So you can imagine like 2 hours almost of each. And at the end
Yes.
we did a meditation just to calm down, because it's so emotionally. Like there was obviously moments of crying at the beginning, a little bit of anger, but it's anger that's coming out of
Yes.
all both of us, right? So once we went through all that, we both were empty, and we were empty because also, and also we even feel together, but it's not together like as a romantic. It's more like we really connected after expressing and sharing all those things. So definitely this is something I never felt in another relation, another breakup,
Right.
because like at the end, all the things that you didn't say, they are here, and you go with like, oh, something that you don't know, well,
Right.
you need to release it, that
You
is
go
not.
with a fracture, usually in conventional, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'm assuming from what you've shared is that consciously uncoupling and really diving into the layers of the things that would be left unsaid if you were to just conventionally end and break up. There's a fracturing that happens emotionally, and there's almost like a toxicity that never really escapes us, that kind of festers there. I think if we don't actually learn how to do this uncoupling of our energy and our friendship and our relationship and our intimacy with another human being. So I think it's amazing that you've done that. What would you say now moving forward is kind of the biggest takeaway from you? Like, do you feel more whole? Do you feel um like more vibrant? Like what would be something that for you you're experiencing right now that you wish you had in many other breakups but that you never were able to really have?
Yeah, totally. So definitely I feel whole. I felt complete. I felt like, I'm just gonna say something that is really important. There's the sadness, like the sadness mostly is gonna be there because you're finishing something. There's an ending. There's like yeah, lives are changing right now for both of us. And obviously, if you felt love for this person during a long time, it's not like, oh, this is done,
Right.
goodbye. There's always the sadness, but the feeling of being complete with that cycle of life, I think it's the most one of the most important feelings ever, because you see it as what it is and what it was, and I just acknowledging this other person and saying everything without carrying on with you to through your life, especially, but to the other relationship. It's just like literally if you left all a chain somewhere else, and you're like, okay, I feel light, I feel free, I feel like I express everything, and the other person also express everything, because the first part of letting the person speak about the things that were kind of like not close at that moment, problems, etc. It's not with the intention to debate or arguing. It's more like empty and literally just holding a space and saying thank you, or I hear you, or that's it. Let the other person, because that's the way also the other person can feel that, release and feel. It just makes you feel good and heard, seen, and understood, which is what we all humans want in this life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, there's a huge element of true respect, honor, love, and appreciation for that partnership and that connection that two people have had. I think when you actually hold space and choose to take that next step that you guys obviously had done, to uncouple your connection, and definitely with that level of strength and bravery to do that, I feel like of all the relationships you've potentially had, you have probably the highest amount of respect, honor, and grace from doing it this way. So my question to you is, what was the process of the uncoupling? Like, what actions did you take? How did you set it up?
Yeah, definitely. It was a great planning, because both of us, when we set the intention and we actually break up, we needed some time apart too, right? Because
Right.
it's really, we were both tender, we were both like sad, and we decided to do that. So we said 2 weeks after we actually did the ceremony. I think it was 2 or 3, but let's say 2. And just this is our personal experience, but this is pretty much like the scenario. It's recommended by people, writing or blogging or posting, or this is the combination we chose to go for. We set a space just for us for that day. It doesn't have to be a full day. In my case, I traveled to the island, so it took more traveling time, but at least a half a day with nothing else to do, just waking up and doing something we like in the morning, just to make us feel good and prepare us for the moment, because it's literally it's a shock. It's not easy at all.
No.
So once we did all that, we went for a hike because we both chose a place we were comfortable, needs to be free of distractions, because there's
Mhm.
if the people or bosses, like it was needs to be, or yeah, a place indoors or somewhere for distraction. So we went to a lake, so we actually needed to hike 1 hour to get to the lake. So in this hour we were just remembering things. It was honestly, it was like a short talk, right? Small talk. It was just something like just easy to digest. We didn't get into the details. We were just like enjoying the hike like a friend. And
Yeah.
when we found the lake, we sit down there and we officially, I was the one kind of like hosting the ceremony. So I officially told her, just to remind all both of us, but told her the steps, which is the step one, we're gonna empty everything that we was left unspoken. Next, we're gonna do gratitude. And the third one, we're gonna set up that with promises. So we grab actually pen and paper just in case we needed to write down stuff or we needed time. And we started like, it's your turn. Just tell me, no time constraint, nothing. Just tell me everything, and I'm gonna be here for you listening. And when
No
she
interruption.
finished, yeah, no interruptions, nothing like, oh, you did,
I
no
want to make
interruptions.
that key for any of our listeners because the urge to react or to get emotional in those and the need to be right can often show up. So yes, keep going. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, totally. It's a great point there. So yeah, no. Again, the only thing probably is like a thank you or like yes or something, just to acknowledge you are hearing,
Acknowledge.
listening. But yeah, no interruptions. And it's interesting just to find out how long it takes, because definitely there was a lot. And for
Mhm.
me, the cue was like, oh my God, this is like, why you didn't tell this before? And obviously, this is at the end, right? When she finished the share, that was my only question. And she obviously going to like telling you all these things in her mind. And
Mhm.
it opens more connection, more intimacy of,
Right.
you know. So when we finished both, then we went into gratitude circle, which is pretty much like you're sharing what we're grateful for the other person. So it was also like a long session. It was almost 45 minutes each, because we were remembering things, and the other person just needs to stay there and listen and receive everything.
Mhm.
So by the time we were in the middle, at the end of that part, there's obviously a lot of tears, because you remember what you spent time spent together, and the things the other person did for you, and the last Christmas, like all these things start going. And that's the point where it actually, and this for me, I was feeling so much love for the other person, because just everything that I was saying was being grateful for, it starts compounding. And I got a word like, oh, that's crazy, like all these things, so the other person made all this for me. And obviously I felt lucky too, because it's just a feeling of like grateful. Grateful is one of the feelings that, like, elevated emotions that we feel
Yes.
is the highest probably. So yeah, lots of tears for both, and sharing back and forth. And after we finally finish all that, that's again listening. There's nothing, if writing something is just to remember something, but it's more like being present and looking the other person into the eyes, and no distractions
Mhm.
creates this bubble of connection. And which is interesting because it's very strong. And at the end, the last part is set up the new intentions as for our new friendship. So this is the actually part, like you actually separate things.
Right.
So we both pre-write a couple of things before. That's the only thing we have to do in advance. So
Okay.
we will come out and we have a list of things we will promise to each other now as being in a new relationship, which is friendship. And definitely make sure we're going to honor them.
Mm-hmm.
Those things could be as easy as like, yeah, you can, come home if you need a place to stay for any reason, or you can, call me in the middle of the night if you are in trouble, or some things
Right.
like that, and beyond. But some things like that is good to know, and the other person won't be like, oh, this guy's calling what he wants. You know what I mean? It's more like, okay, I say that,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's calling, probably there's something going on, and because we set all these agreements, now we both know that if something happens, or if I call her or text her, or she does the same, is there's nothing behind just of like, oh, I'm gonna honor this, I'm gonna
Yeah.
see what the person
Yeah.
needs,
Yes.
even just
It's
for
intent as a friend, not intent in some other fashion. Yes.
yeah. And also again, that's the way of saying like, now it is like the actual moment of saying, from now on, now we're friends, and
Yes.
and let's continue life. And it's not gonna, we might not see each other
Yes.
again, or maybe once in a while you hear from me, but it's,
Yeah.
it's not with the awkwardness of like, goodbye. It's more
Right.
like with we
Right.
continue our paths, and I see you, and I honor you, and I respect you. That's the outline of all the ceremony. And
Yeah.
now let's continue our paths.
Yes.
There's nothing in between, nothing to read between the lines. And
Yeah.
again, after all these pretty much 5 hours ish, you create this bubble, this container, and at the end, when you break it up, it's hard. It's hard just because we had to hide back together, and obviously we are sharing all this emotion,
Yeah.
which actually before the hike, I asked her, it's like, let's meditate for 10 minutes just to calm down, because
Yeah.
it's intense.
It's intense. Yeah. Yeah. I can only imagine. I've never done that before. So sounds amazing. My, I really would love to know from your experience in doing this, looking back at the conventional way, most people get out of a breakup, and I know and I've heard, and it happens for both women and for men, but it's probably a little bit more dominant in society for men to kind of go out and sleep with a lot of different people because there's that one line of getting it out of their system. I want to know from you your experience of that line and what that actually is doing to your body and your psyche when you operate from that wavelength of consciousness.
Yeah, totally. So something I got present to is that exactly what you just said. That's what I used to do in the past up until this moment. It's definitely getting out of the system. Now, this is just my theory, but I think it's the actually don't have the space to share everything with other, like all the energy that gets into it's repressed, and yeah, it needs to out somehow. And I used to go and just like, oh, okay, cool, see you later, and then call the next person, or the next person I meet is like, okay, let's go. I don't
Get
want
into a
anything
quick
serious.
relationship.
Yeah, quick something just to. Mostly, this is just my experience. Again, this is more kind of like forget, or kind of like you suppress the emotions, or yeah, you let clear the mind, etc. But I think it comes from a way of avoid what's happening, and mostly the feelings. No one likes to be sad. I understand that completely. No one likes to obviously feel pain or discomfort. But if we don't deal with it, we're just suppressing things. So
Right.
the old way for me, it was doing that. Just go and find someone, or after like one after another, just to kind of like get the space to actually, oh, now I forgot her completely. Cool. Okay, now I can keep going. But this time with the intention that I set up, and actually feeling empty. I'm feeling like
You can
something that
begin
I,
to.
yeah, it's a new beginning. But also, I think I mentioned this in a previous conversation we had. There's so much power that both persons feel ending that way. I cannot describe it. It's like, it's really, really powerful. Like, just, it's pretty much like standing your feet on the ground, another person too, and having this kind of like Disney moment full of magic, and then just going away. But with power, no one was less or more. We
Yeah.
both end up like really high notes, and said everything close it, that actually I allow myself to, this is the first time too, by the way. I allow myself to heal from that relationship. So I consciously said, because I didn't feel the urgency of fill the gap. I was like, because I feel so much power. I said,
Right.
I'm just gonna let myself heal, which it was 2.5 years. So it's like, yeah, the time it takes. I know 3 months is really short, but I'm open if it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, etc. For the first time, but it came from that place of power, for
Right.
that place of power and respect and love for the other person. It didn't came from like, oh no, like the negative side of things.
Yeah, the disempowerment side of things, because I think, yeah, a lot of people we do tend to be very sad or overwhelmed, and then not want to go and deal with that. And so then the repression happens and the numbing happens. And then when we do end up finding someone that we actually are attuned to, or maybe like, we step into a relationship completely fractured, broken, bringing the past into that relationship, and how damaging that doesn't even give the new relationship an opportunity. Now you're just kind of creating baggage into that new relationship, and then expecting that other person to receive it, deal with it, and help you with that. And so, yes, like, how do we create conversations like this more, so that this becomes the norm in terms of the conscious way of our relationship fitness practices within society? How do we as individuals share that this is the common knowledge, the way that we honor and truly respect with dignity and grace ourselves as well as other people, and move and operate within our genders, feminine and masculine, from an equal standpoint, moving forward from a place of power rather than disempowerment? Like, what are your thoughts on how do we make this the game changer within the way that all of society starts practicing this as a core practice in relationship fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you said something really interesting and it's key, which is uh, respect to ourselves, like pretty much like self-respect.
Mhm.
Because I think, and this is just because again I experienced both sides of the equation, is um, I was not connected to myself in the past, and that's exactly what you say. The numbing, the distractions, and everything, they will come from a place of like, I don't want to sit with what I'm feeling right now. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be in pain, because it's painful, especially if you care about the other person, right? And that, from that place you go into numbing, you go into probably drinking too. There's a couple of several things that we all do to numb all these emotions. And when I found myself literally like starting knowing about myself, that's when things start moving forward up until this point, which everything is an evolution and it's always in work in progress. There's not set like time like, oh, I found myself today. Great. It's like it's a
No.
process, but once you start walking that path, you start learning more and more and more and more up until the point that this is going to be interesting. But I actually, yeah, met someone that I was interested, and I was like, oh, maybe this is for me. Going, finish my period of honoring that relationship, healing, etc. But after having a conversation with that person, I knew there was more than that physical attraction for sure. There was nothing for us. So I'm like, and with the same power, I was able to say no. It's like, you know what? Just follow your path. I'm just gonna do my thing. There's not nothing to do here. Not even for the, let's say, get it out of the system thing. Nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that just comes from, for me, it's from what you said, just knowing myself and being in respectful to me first of all, because that's the purpose of the ceremony, to be acknowledge you first, and then acknowledge the other person, and they both each other walk with respect for themselves at the end. So I think how can we, yeah, definitely it's a great question. How can we make it a norm or mainstream? Or I think it's definitely just a matter of educate people on ourselves, because
Yes.
this is not just relationship, but it's definitely like we all look for stuff out of ourselves for all aspects of life, right? Like money, love, health, everything. But it starts with us. Like
It
that's
does.
what I love what you're doing, and the name of the business of you, because it starts with you.
It all does.
I
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely want to encourage people, yeah, to just, even if it's a little bit, just start somewhere, because sometimes feels like this is like a, oh, I need to go to somewhere for 5 days and retreats.
Right.
It's like it's a matter just to.
What would you say to someone who's, because I think that a lot of people, the reason why they don't immerse themselves in getting to really know themselves or stepping into leaning into unearthing those emotions or the points where they really require healing, even though they may know it, but they're just not acknowledging it. What would you say to them? Like, what would be some words that maybe you had someone else share with you, or that you finally said to yourself that helped you step into learning about yourself and doing this work to respect yourself and to create new positive empowering experiences and fundamentally wonderful relationships and intimacy with your partner, um, versus you know straying away from it or keeping it at a distance or repressing it? Like, what were maybe a few core things that you were either taught or that your own inner wisdom shined to you, that allowed you to feel it's safe and I can do this and I can take the first step into leaning into myself and doing things and practicing things differently than what I've always done that haven't served me?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the first one that definitely comes to my mind is, we need to be clear on what actually it's the outcome we want, with other person or persons, because it's really powerful if you say, you know what, I just want to have fun with the opposite sex, which is fine. But the problem is when we want to have fun, but we say no because the other person doesn't want to have fun, want to have something, like, so like
Or
a
too
real
much.
relationship.
Yeah.
And then the disconnection starts sometimes in the very beginning. So
Right.
it's very important to be clear what we want. If we want to have fun, just tell the other person. It's like, you know what, this is what I want. The other person might be like, that's not what I want. It's like, cool, well, this is just speaking as men, and I have done it before
Yeah.
in the past with other relationship. I will just agree to something they say or they want, just yes, I just want to have sex. And second one is like, oh well, this is better than be alone. And we just say yes to stuff like, oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, whatever you want, perfect. And at the end, we both, this is the classic example, and this is coming from the men's perspective side. And that's when most of the times we just like, one day to another, it feels for the other person, it's like, oh, you were into me and now not, like, what day to night. But this is because of this type of, details that got missed, right? We say yes to stuff and someone's like, oh shit, I actually don't want to go there, goodbye. And then the person's like, but you just said, we were in love. And it's like, yeah, well, it just finished because again, we are not aligned, we're not going into
Right.
the same path. So the first one is being definitely,
Open with
know
communication.
what you want and express it. And again, you're gonna find, whoever try this, how interesting it is when you express that to the other person. You can get actually into a great situation with the other person because they know, right? And actually, you can have what we want plus more,
Right.
and avoid all the conflicts and avoid the, yeah, I thought you,
Yes.
all these things in between.
Yes, because there is that classical mishap, and it's not even really a mishap. It's almost intentional because the communication part was completely negated. Like, one person goes, I don't want anything serious, and the other person goes, okay, yeah, me too. When really they're already, halfway to love, and then they just step into it and say and acknowledge the other person that way, but then get disgruntled and feel bad and feel horrible throughout, like, the whole time, because they want something different and they're just not willing to be honest about it. So I think self-honesty is incredibly important. Like you said, like, know what you want. Don't be afraid to say it, whether it could be, that you're not really interested in a long-term relationship. be very clear about that. Otherwise, you're going to cause problems not only for yourself, but also for the other person. And then it's going to be really, really hard to kind of escape those challenging conversations that are going to have to come. So yeah, I love like everything that you've been sharing today. It's been amazing. So thank you so much. Is there anything else additionally that you think that you have to share with everyone listening in terms of the conscious way of elevating our relationship fitness practices, specifically around uncoupling? Like, is there any words of encouragement or anything that you can share with other people that would make them choose this over potential, well, more of the conventional way of breaking up?
Oh, totally. And there's a couple of variables here. So the first one is for the uncoupling, the two persons needs to be definitely into the same wavelength to do that. Because if the other person is like, I'm not sure, if they're not both fit in,
Right.
it's going to be the same as let's say conscious saying
Right.
goodbye, right?
So how do you know that? I mean, I know even from my personal experience, I kind of wanted that, but the other person was totally not there, so I personally had to make my own understanding of how I was going to detach and uncouple and let go completely from the fracturing of what had taken place. And for any of you who are wondering what I did, I wrote out in a journal everything that hurt, everything that was beautiful. And then it was rooting back in a place of love that grounded me. And then I just kind of left it. I think I burned it, but that worked for me. For other people, it might be something different. Is there anything that you would add to that?
Well, definitely, yeah. Well, exactly what you said. If the other person doesn't want to participate in that, I mean, there's no point of forcing things. Definitely, just go and let it out of your system the way you did this one. It could be a video. It could be something just for you to put it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Burning is a great idea, but if it's a video, don't burn the computer. Just
Yeah, don't
you
bring
know.
it.
But definitely needs to get out of your system, and even if the other person is not present, you can have that completion cycle with you.
Yes.
The important thing here is like the other person, you need to, I mean, whoever is going to start the conversation about the uncoupling ceremony needs to definitely let them know the other person what everything would look like, what is it about, why you're doing that. Like it needs to be something, sharing a link or like even a mail, a letter, something, so they know all the variables. And there's no surprise that it's like, oh, where we're gonna talk about what we left unspoken. I don't want to do, there's nothing as surprises in the day of. Even with the plan, like it's actually a way to make the plan to travel here, go here for X hours, and then something I didn't mention in my share before, but we also set up in that planning to go for dinner after as new friends and laugh, just about laugh, that funny stuff that happened in our lives, because laughter is another one of the highest elevated emotions. So
Yes.
it's we literally wanted to end with laughing. So
Beautiful.
all these needs to be planned. The other person, I actually have a couple of friends that they tried that and the other person didn't want to.
Right.
Okay, that's totally fine. And then just let it out the way that you did. It's a great way to do that, because
Oh,
what it, I think it's just, again, my experience, it would help me in the past is just like all these movies of like, oh, if I have done this differently, or if I have said this differently, or if, oh, that day at Christmas, if I have done, like all these possible movies in our minds is what it actually created me more pain, because I will go to the relationship and my way of healing was taking longer, and obviously no one wants to feel that, and then you just go, grab drinks or just go and distract yourself.
right.
But yeah, something that I want to actually also mention as a last note is that
Absolutely.
literally, just for me, that sentence from Tony Robbins changed the way of seeing things. But just for 1 minute, like imagine if you actually start like and end the relationship as the way you started it. It's a little bit at the beginning difficult to comprehend, because it's like, how would that work? But
Mm-hmm.
actually it's possible. Like it's at the end, is the energy, right? It's us. And not because we don't want to be the other person, we need to treat the other person badly, or
Right.
or start feeling resentment. Or I get it. Like sometimes, and especially this is just coming from, again, my male perspective, is like, we just want to end things and okay, yeah, cool, look, bye, and move to other things in life that you're doing. But if just for a moment we think like how the other person feels, and again, just trying to, even if you don't do the ceremony at the conscious uncoupling ceremony, but if the end at the end is like high vibes, like both you're gonna go into different ways, with a good feeling. Because it's really tricky, because I know when we are, it's all in theory is great, but when we are there, it's like, oh, the emotions and the other person, and then the arguing, and because we're remembering what are we been doing all, let's say, the last month before the breakup. But
Right.
if we actually take a little bit of a moment to, breathe, and especially if it's a space between both person in, like a week or two, and then
Mhm.
go back to do that, it's going to be really powerful. And again, even if it's just that, but if they go through all the process, it's going to
Mhm.
even open like more possibilities for both of us.
Right.
One of them, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. For all of you who have been listening, thank you for coming on. I just want to reiterate some of the process pieces of an uncoupling ceremony. So I'm just going to read them back to Juno so that he can be my guide and teacher here. So first, it would be to obviously both parties know there's a breakup. B, it would be setting a plan, and prior to actually meeting within that plan, which each party knows exactly what the Scooby-Doo is on the day and knows where we're going and what we're doing. As soon as those things are agreed upon, then you lay out promises that you would want to acknowledge and create with that person for the future. Then you go, you do the emptying part, which is purely listening to another speak and share, no matter how long that is, and holding space. And it's not about being right or wrong. And then the second one isn't promises yet. There's one more in between, right?
Yeah, it's gratitude.
Gratitude, then it's appreciating. So really talking about the appreciation that you have for the other person and the enjoyment and love that that person brought to you, and your gratitude and respect for them. And then the third is the promises, where you both share equally your promises, the boundaries, and what you want to create moving forward within your newfound friendship. And then potentially, an activity that ends with laughter for both people to renew and rebirth a newfound friendship on a different wavelength than what it used to be before. So yeah, did I get that right? Do I now know how to officially uncouple a relationship?
Yeah, totally. And I just gonna mention that the part of the friendship, this worked for us, but maybe, I mean, obviously no one is, you don't have to be friends if you don't want to, because probably it could be the case, but it's like, it's just a new way of relationship. It's like now,
Yeah.
I see you as, yeah, a person that was in my life, and now you go on your way, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be exactly that, but yeah, it's like the new type of relationship, but
Yes.
we're going to call it friends because we were friends before, and now
Right.
still in some
Yeah.
level.
And for some people that works, and for some people it doesn't, and that's fine. But the whole reason why you're doing this is so that you, as different or as separate people, can ground in your own personal power, revitalize your energy, heal completely, and move from a wholesome place where when you meet someone new, or as you move through time and space, you're moving from a grounded state of someone who is feeling that sense of wholeness, rather than a disempowered place, which I think is the most beautiful way to be and way to grow, and to really respect, honor your partnership on an equal playing field, for sure. Yes.
Yeah, the last thing I want to mention that you just said, this is also the first time that I feel like actually I will bring like a new me to the other person, because in the past, I actually, now that I experience this, I see how this let's say part of me from the other relationship will come to the new one, and then all these other, pieces will come to the new one, but through this process now, this is the first time I feel like I actually, one definitely gives like me, the complete me, like new to other person, but also like start from a place of, it's like a white canvas, there's no baggage coming from the other ones, like I close it. So I feel good, definitely.
Oh, that's so amazing. That's so amazing to hear. And for all of our listeners, my God, like what great knowledge and tools that we've just heard today here with Juno. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story and being really authentic and real about it, as well as all the tools you've taught us today on uncoupling relationship for us to elevate our own individual selves, to respectfully let go and break up our connection from a past relationship that ultimately you're breaking up and you're moving on. But you can do it in a fun, loving way. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us here today at the Business of You. So thank you so much, Juno. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. It was great, and I hope everyone gets something out of it, because I did, and it's the only way to know it is doing it. So I encourage everyone to experience it at least once and see what the results are for them.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, we encourage all of you, and for any of you who aren't sure, we are definitely rooting for you to step in, lean in, and be brave, to heal yourself, respect yourself, and do the same at least show the same love and grace and respect to the other person that you're in a relationship with. So thank you so much, you guys, for listening. Really love and appreciate you coming on here and listening to us today. Thank you once again, Juno, for being with us and sharing your wisdom. It was amazing to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Shona. Thanks for all the work you're doing in the world, because definitely it starts with us, and that's what you helping people with. So,
and you as well with Avalon Well Being Academy. Can't wait to learn more and see what's in store. Juno, where, if we want to learn more about Avalon Well Being Academy and or connect with you through social media, where can we find you?
Yeah, thank you. AvalonWellbeingAcademy.com. Also, Instagram works. I have my personal account is Juno Parlange, same as my name. You can see probably here in the screen.
We'll have a link. Yeah.
Or Avalon Well Be. That's the Instagram handle. So
amazing.
Any of those places. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys, and we'll see you soon at the Business of You.